Hey there, treasure hunters and pocket change detectives. Let me ask you something. Have you ever pulled a crumpled old penny out of your jeans and thought, this thing isn't worth more than a stick of gum? Well, think again, because that humble copper coin might just be your golden ticket to $1 million payday. Yes, you heard me right. $1 million. Today, we're diving deep into the fascinating world of the 1975 no-mint mark Memorial Lincoln penny, a coin so deceptively ordinary that you probably have one jingling around in a jar by your front door. So grab a cup of coffee, kick back, and get ready to learn how a little penny could change your life forever. We're about to unpack why this coin is so special, what makes it worth up to $1 million, and how you can spot one without needing a magnifying glass glued to your eyeball. And I'll share a story about the time I almost tossed a rare penny in a vending machine. True story. But more on that later. Stick around to the end, because I've got some coin collecting strategies you won't want to miss. Alright, let's jump in. At first glance, it doesn't look different from any other penny you'd find under your couch cushions. It's copper colored. It's got good old Abraham Lincoln giving you that wise side profile. And if you flip it over, you'll see the Lincoln Memorial, the same design that was used from 1959 all the way up to 2008. In 1975, all Lincoln pennies struck at the Philadelphia Mint came without a mint mark. That means, under the date, there's a smooth empty space, no little D for Denver, no S for San Francisco. Well, it isn't just the missing mint mark that makes these coins valuable. It's the unique combination of pristine condition, specific die varieties, and sometimes even bizarre minting errors that collectors lose sleep over. Or numismatists, if you want to sound fancy at parties, are willing to pay top dollar for the rarest examples. Let's break down the main factors that can transform a 1975 penny into $1 million jackpot when it comes to coins. Condition isn't just important, it's practically life or death for your bank account. A heavily circulated penny with scratches and green corrosion might be worth a few cents to a hobbyist, but that's about it. But an uncirculated, mint state specimen? That's where you start seeing the big bucks. Professional coin grading services like PCGS and NGC assign grades on a 70-point scale. The closer to 70, the better. Some 1975 pennies graded MS67 and higher have sold for astonishing sums because they're nearly flawless. A coin that never even touched human fingers. It's like the Benjamin Button of pennies, aging backward. That's the stamping tool, gets damaged or misaligned, creating a double die effect. That means letters and numbers look thicker or like they have a faint shadow behind them. If you find a 1975 penny with a double die on Liberty or the date, that's a huge deal. Collectors will practically fight each other on eBay to snag one. Some coins are struck off-center, have clipped planchets, like a bite was taken out, or get struck multiple times. These error coins are often one of a kind, and that drives up their value. I once saw an off-center 1975 penny sell for thousands of dollars, and it looked like it had been squashed in a waffle iron, because there are only a handful known to be in immaculate, mint state condition with special die varieties. Most estimates suggest fewer than 10 of these super premium examples exist. That's rarer than a winning lottery ticket, and you don't even have to pick numbers. All you have to do is look through your old coins carefully. And now, let me tell you about that time I nearly lost a fortune to a Snickers bar. About 15 years ago, I was cleaning out my car. I had a cup holder overflowing with pennies, the sticky ones covered in dust and soda spills. I decided to dump them all in a vending machine at work, but something made me pause. I noticed one penny looked a little shinier, almost like it was fresh off the press. I pulled it out and stuck it in my pocket. Turns out, it was a 1975 no-mint mark penny in beautiful uncirculated condition. I sent it off for grading, and it came back MS66 red. While it didn't make me a millionaire, it sold at auction for several $1,000s, all because I hesitated for 3 seconds before buying a candy bar. Always check your change before you feed it to the vending machine. You might be thinking, okay, so where do I even find one of these unicorn coins? Here are some great places to start: old change jars or piggy banks, estate sales and garage sales. Yes, you can still find valuable pennies hiding in rolls, collections handed down by relatives. I recommend using a soft cloth to handle coins. Oils from your fingers can damage them over time, and invest in a good magnifier or jeweler's loupe. You don't have to look like Sherlock Holmes, but you'll need a little help to spot doubling or tiny imperfections. How to sell $1 million penny. If you think you've hit the jackpot, don't run to the pawn shop on the corner. PCGS and NGC are the most respected grading services. Before you list it, talk to a few dealers or auction houses. Heritage Auctions and Stacksbowers regularly handle $1 million coins. Store it in a certified holder and keep it away from heat, moisture, and curious toddlers. This process takes time, but it's worth it if you want to get every penny, pun absolutely intended, of value before we wrap up, let's talk strategy for building a valuable collection. Even common dates can be worth thousands if they're in mint state. Learn to recognize doubling and off-center strikes. The more coins you examine, the more likely you'll spot a rare one. Network with other collectors. Facebook groups, Reddit forums, and local coin clubs are great resources. Today you learned that the humble 1975 no-mint mark Lincoln penny can be worth up to $1 million if it checks all the right boxes. It's a perfect reminder that you don't have to be a millionaire to start collecting, but you just might end up as one if you know what to look for. So, before you dump your change into the nearest Coinstar machine, take a few minutes to look closely. You could be holding a tiny copper lottery ticket. That shiny penny you almost spent on a candy bar could pay for a new house, a sports car, or that beach vacation you've been dreaming about. If you enjoyed this video and want more tips on coins worth big money, clever collecting strategies, and the occasional embarrassing personal story, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, tap the bell so you never miss an update, and give this video a thumbs up if you learned something new today. We turn ordinary pocket change into extraordinary treasure. Have you ever fished a penny out of your couch cushions and thought, it's just a cent? Well, you might want to rethink that, because today, we're talking about one little copper coin from 1987 with no mint mark that has a jaw-dropping value of $1.1 million. 1 cent, potentially worth more than most people's houses. Stick around, because in this video, we'll break down exactly why this penny is so rare, what to look for, how to tell if you have one, and the steps to sell it for top dollar. And I'm also going to share a funny little story about the time I almost spent one of these pennies on a gas station coffee. Talk about $1 million caffeine kick. So grab a cup of something strong and cozy up. This could be the most profitable 40 minutes you spend all year. Let's set the scene. It's 1987. Ronald Reagan is president, hairspray is basically the national scent, and the US Mint is churning out Lincoln pennies by the billions. Most of them were minted in Philadelphia, and that's why they don't have a mint mark. So right off the bat, let's clarify, just having a 1987 penny with no mint mark does not mean you're rich. Almost all of them were made that way, but here's where it gets spicy. There is a micro percentage of 1987 no mint mark pennies with extraordinary errors, the kind of errors that make coin collectors foam at the mouth. I'm talking about dramatic double dies, major off-center strikes, and rare planchet anomalies. One specific example, authenticated and graded in pristine condition, sold for a cool $1.1 million in a private sale. That's the one we're focusing on today. So if you're dreaming about retiring early, this is the variety you need to find. This means the coin's front was struck twice out of alignment, creating a shadow effect. Look closely at the date and the word Liberty, you might see distinct doubling. The $1 million example was graded MS68 red by PCGS, which means it was basically perfect with that original bright copper glow. Some rare examples show the design shifted significantly away from the center, exposing blank space. A tiny fraction were accidentally struck on zinc-coated planchets used for other denominations. So the combination of an obvious error and immaculate condition is what transforms an ordinary cent into a small fortune. At first, you'll need a good magnifying glass or a jeweler's loupe. You don't want to rely on squinting at the coin under your kitchen light. Check the date and lettering. Look for doubling, especially in the words "In God We Trust" and "Liberty." Inspect Lincoln's profile. If you see a ghostly outline behind it, that's a strong sign of doubling. Look at the edges. Off-center strikes are obvious because the rim will be thin or missing on one side. Feel the weight. A normal 1987 penny weighs 2.5 grams. If it's heavier or lighter, you could have a wrong planchet error. Check the color and luster. Collectors pay more for red pennies that haven't toned brown. Let me share a personal moment of shame or luck, depending on how you look at it. About 6 years ago, I was road tripping across the Midwest. I stopped at a little gas station in Nebraska, tired, desperate for coffee, and fumbling for change in my car console. I scooped up a handful of coins, mostly pennies, and counted out the exact price of a small coffee. But just as I was about to slide them across the counter, the cashier pointed at one penny and said, "You sure you want to spend this one? It looks weird." I shrugged. A penny's a penny. But she insisted, so I took it back and threw a different one in. Later that night, I looked at it under a magnifying glass. Clear as day, doubling on Liberty. After getting it graded, turns out it was worth several $1,000s. Never underestimate a cashier with sharp eyes. Always check your change before you blow it on lukewarm gas station coffee. If you think you've struck gold, or in this case, copper, your next step is getting the coin authenticated and graded. Pick a reputable grading service. The two big ones are PCGS and NGC. Submit your coin carefully. Use a protective holder and follow their submission instructions exactly. Wait for the grade. This can take weeks. Receive your slabbed coin. If it comes back as a high MS grade with a recognized error, congratulations, you might be sitting on 6 or 7 figures. If you're not sure whether your coin is worth grading, consider having a local coin dealer or numismatist take a look first. Here's where the rubber meets the road. You've got $1 million penny, now what? Auction houses. Heritage auctions and Stacksbowers regularly handle 6-figure coins, private sale. Sometimes collectors will offer you a direct deal to avoid auction fees. Online platforms. Sites like eBay are an option, but be cautious, you'll want to protect yourself with escrow services for high-value sales. Never rush the sale. Take time to understand the market and get multiple offers. While the $1 million example is the superstar, there are also more common but still valuable errors. Minor double dies can sell for $50 to $500. Off-center strikes and lower grades often fetch $100 to $1,000. Dramatic die cracks and cuts can bring in several $100s. If you have jars of 1987 pennies lying around, this is your invitation to comb through every single one. If you found something promising, you don't want to scratch or corrode it, use coin flips or capsules, keep them in a cool, dry place, handle them by the edges only. Trust me, nothing's worse than finding a rare coin and realizing you've damaged it with your fingers or a scrub. It's easy to laugh about the idea of getting rich off pennies. But the truth is, everyday folks find these coins all the time. The key is to get in the habit of looking at your change, learning the details of what makes a coin valuable. Only instead of maps and shovels, you've got spare change and a magnifier. Sure, we're talking about $1 million penny, but this hobby is also about history, craftsmanship, and curiosity. And sometimes that story ends with a life-changing windfall. Alright, friends, that's our deep dive into the legendary 1987 no-mint mark Lincoln penny worth $1.1 million. If you enjoyed this video and want more tips on coins worth serious money, strategies for selling rare finds, and the occasional embarrassing story about almost trading treasure for gas station coffee, hit that subscribe button right now, and while you're at it, give this video a thumbs up so more folks can discover the hidden fortune in their pockets. Remember, the next time you pick up a penny, it might just be the one that changes your life forever. Hey there, fellow treasure hunters, grab your magnifying glass, pour yourself a hot cup of coffee, and get ready to rummage through your change jar because today we're diving into the jaw-dropping world of the 1980 no-mint mark Lincoln Memorial penny. Now, before you roll your eyes and say, "Come on, it's just a penny, let me hit you with this." One of these little copper beauties recently sold for an earth-shattering $1.2 million. That's right, 1 cent turned into $1 million. Imagine you're standing at a gas station, dropping a handful of pennies into the take a penny, leave a penny tray, completely unaware you just gave away a small fortune. That's the kind of nightmare that keeps coin collectors up at night. In today's video, I'm going to walk you through why this humble penny is worth so much money, what you need to look for, and how you can tell if you're holding on to an early retirement plan disguised as spare change. And I'll even share a personal story about the time I almost threw away a valuable coin myself, because let's face it, we've all done some boneheaded things when it comes to coins. So stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll be the person at parties who says, "Did you know 1 penny could buy you a beach house?" And everyone will think you're a coin genius. First things first, let's break down what makes this penny stand out. The 1980 Lincoln penny was struck in Philadelphia, which at the time didn't use a mint mark on pennies. So, when you look under the date, you won't see any little letters. That's normal, but here's where it gets interesting. Certain examples of this penny have incredibly rare die varieties and error characteristics. Some have a doubled die obverse, where the lettering and date look shadowed or doubled. Others were struck on the wrong planchet, meaning they were minted on a blank meant for a different coin, like a dime. When you combine a no-mint mark, an error, and immaculate condition, you end up with a collector's dream and sometimes a multi-million-dollar payday. Well, it was graded in near-perfect condition, what collectors call MS67 red. That means the coin has never been in circulation and still has its brilliant coppery shine. Add to that an extremely rare misstrike, and you have the perfect storm of rarity, condition, and demand. It was sold through a high-profile auction, and the bidding war went absolutely berserk. If you ever wondered whether people really pay millions for coins, the answer is yes. Some folks will shell out more for a penny than most of us will spend on a house. Alright, let's talk about how you can spot one of these hidden treasures. Look for that missing mint mark. That part is easy. Philadelphia didn't use a mint mark, so no letter under the date. Grab a magnifying glass and inspect the date and lettering closely. If you see any doubling, like the letters look blurry or you see a faint second impression, that could be a doubled die. Check the coin's edges and thickness. Sometimes the wrong planchet will make the penny look thinner, thicker, or even the wrong color. Examine the surface. The most valuable pennies have that blazing original luster. Think fresh from the mint copper glow. If all else fails, don't be shy about sending your coin to a professional grading service. For a few bucks, they'll tell you exactly what you have. And now, let me tell you about the time I nearly pulled a Homer Simpson and said dough over a penny. A few years back, I was cleaning out the junk drawer, the place where old batteries, rubber bands, and expired coupons go to die. I found a jar of random coins and decided to cash them in at the grocery store. I scooped them into one of those coin machines and watched the total climb. But right before I poured in the last handful, something shiny caught my eye. It was a 1970s small date penny. I shrugged, figured it was just old, but something told me to look it up. Turns out, that coin was worth nearly $2,000. I almost fed it to a machine that would have given me a crisp $20 bill in exchange. Moral of the story: don't underestimate the pennies. Did you know the US Mint made over 7 billion Lincoln pennies in 1980? That's enough to cover several football fields with copper. Or that a penny costs almost 2 cents to make these days? Talk about an investment with negative returns. Legend has it that some folks used to superglue pennies to sidewalks just to watch people struggle to pick them up. If you ever fell for it, don't feel bad. You were just ahead of the curve trying to score $1 million coin. Point 1, you can consign it with a big auction house like Heritage Auctions or Stacksbowers. They'll get it in front of serious collectors. Point 2, you can list it with a reputable coin dealer who specializes in rare US cents. Or 3, you can post it in specialized online marketplaces, though you'll need to be extra careful about scammers. Whatever you do, get it professionally graded first. A certified grade is the difference between a coin worth a couple $100 and one worth over $1 million. Never clean them with chemicals or abrasives, this will tank their value faster than you can say oops. Store them in acid-free flips or hard plastic holders. Keep them in a dry, cool place to avoid corrosion. Handle them by the edges only. Fingerprints can damage the surface and cost you big money. We started this journey with a humble 1980 penny, something most people would walk right past on the sidewalk. But as you've seen, the right combination of rarity, condition, and error can make even a single cent worth over $1 million. Just imagine finding one in your pocket change. That's the kind of story that ends with you sipping pina coladas on the beach while everyone else is still stuck in traffic. So the next time you get change from the store, take a minute to look closely. Who knows, your next big payday could be hiding in plain sight. Before you go, do me a huge favor. Hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss a chance to learn about coins that could change your life. And if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and share it with a friend who always says, pennies aren't worth anything. Maybe you'll be the one to prove them wrong. Thanks for hanging out with me today. Happy hunting, and I'll see you in the next video where we'll uncover even more hidden treasures in your spare change. Hey there, coin hunters and treasure seekers. Let me ask you something. Have you ever held a dirty old penny in your hand and thought, this little copper coin might just be worth more than my car, my house, and maybe even my mother-in-law's prize poodle combined? Well, today, you're about to discover how a humble 1969 D. Lincoln Memorial cent, that tiny penny with Abraham Lincoln's thoughtful little face, can command a jaw-dropping market value of up to $1.3 million. That's right, $1 million penny. This isn't some internet rumor or late-night infomercial. This is a real thing, and if you know what to look for, you could be the next person to cash in on a life-changing coin find. So grab your coffee, sit back, and let's dive into everything you need to know about this incredible 1969 D. Lincoln penny, how to spot the rare variety, why collectors are willing to pay a fortune, and what you can do if you happen to stumble upon one. And trust me, you'll want to stick around because I'll also share a little story about the time I almost tossed one of these into a tip jar. Talk about a close call. Let's start with a little background. In 1969, the Denver Mint cranked out hundreds of millions of Lincoln cents. Most of them were perfectly ordinary. You could use them to buy bubblegum, toss them in a wishing well, or lose them in the couch cushions, so rare they make Bigfoot look like your neighbor. Have something called a double die obverse. Basically, when the coin was struck, the design on the die was accidentally doubled. That duplication causes some parts of the lettering and date to look thicker, blurry, or doubled under magnification. It's a minting mistake, and collectors go nuts for it. Wait a minute, I thought the famous 1969 doubled die was only from the Philadelphia Mint with no mint mark. The 1969 no mint mark doubled die is the better known version. But here's the twist, the Denver Mint also produced its own rare doubled die obverse variety. It's even harder to find in high grade, which is exactly why the market value is shot up to $1.3 million for pristine examples. Alright, so let's talk about how you can identify one of these hidden treasures. First, flip the penny over and look on the front side, the obverse. You're going to look carefully at the date, 1969. Check for any doubling, particularly in the numbers and the word liberty. You might also see doubling in the motto "In God We Trust." The doubling is strong and visible, not just a little shadow. The letters look almost like they're vibrating. Under magnification, you'll see clear separation in the lines of the letters. You'll also see the D mint mark below the date. That's what sets this particular variety apart, and don't worry if your eyesight isn't what it used to be. Grab a 10x loupe or a simple magnifying glass. I promise, it's worth the effort. Coin collectors use a grading scale called the Sheldon scale, which goes from 1 to 70. The higher the grade, the shinier your payday. But if you have a heavily circulated penny, think one that's been stuck in a piggy bank since Nixon was president, it won't be worth nearly as much. But if you discover a crisp, uncirculated specimen, you're looking at 6 or 7 figures, and that's no exaggeration. Just a few years back, a collector paid over $1 million for a superb example of this coin. Serious collectors, especially those who want to assemble complete sets of every significant variety, will pay enormous sums to own the rarest examples in the best condition. There are fewer than a dozen confirmed high-grade specimens of this 1969 D doubled die obverse. That scarcity fuels competition, and competition fuels sky-high prices. Remember, this isn't just about copper and zinc. It's about history, rarity, and the thrill of owning something almost no one else has. A few years ago, I was cleaning out a jar of pennies that had been sitting in my laundry room for who knows how long. They were covered in lint, dust, and that sticky residue you only find in random kitchen drawers. I was sorting them by date, just out of curiosity, and I noticed a 1969 D penny with what looked like doubled lettering. I squinted at it, rubbed my eyes, and thought, nah, no way. I almost threw it into the take a penny, leave a penny tray at my local diner, but something made me stop. Maybe it was the voice in the back of my head that said, "Hey, dummy, maybe check it with a loupe first." Turns out, it was a minor machine doubling, not the big one. But you better believe I learned my lesson. Now, I check every 1969 D penny I see, just in case, because the next one might be the real deal, and the difference between a free cup of coffee and $1 million windfall. Don't clean it. Seriously, don't even think about scrubbing it with toothpaste or soap. You can knock tens of thousands of dollars off the value. Instead, handle it gently by the edges, put it in a protective coin flip, and get it authenticated by a reputable grading service like PCGS or NGC. After it's certified, you'll have collectors, dealers, and auction houses lining up to make you offers. You can sell it at a major coin auction, consign it through a reputable dealer, or even negotiate a private sale. Just be patient and do your research. If you're not sure where to start, contact a professional numismatist. Knowledge is power, and in this case, knowledge could make you a millionaire. Before we wrap up, keep in mind that the 1969 D isn't the only rare Lincoln cent out there. There are valuable varieties from 1955, 1972, 1983, and even more recent years. Never dismiss a penny without a second look. You'd be surprised how many people unknowingly spend coins worth thousands of dollars. The story behind the legendary 1969 D doubled die Lincoln cent. How to spot the variety that makes collectors go weak in the knees. What makes it worth up to $1.3 million. I hope you feel inspired to look through that old jar of coins sitting in your garage. Who knows, your next big payday might be hiding under a layer of dust and lint. If you enjoyed this video, do me a huge favor, hit that subscribe button. I share more tips and stories about coins worth serious money, strategies for selling them, and all kinds of insights to help you build wealth, one penny at a time. And if you found this helpful, give it a thumbs up and share it with someone who loves a good treasure hunt. Hey folks, ever find yourself digging through old coins, thinking maybe, just maybe, you've got something valuable? Maybe even life-changing? Well, what if I told you that there's a regular-looking 1984 Lincoln penny with no mint mark that's worth a jaw-dropping $1.4 million? That's right, one tiny copper-colored coin, hiding in plain sight, could be worth more than a beach house in Malibu. I know, you're thinking, it's just a penny, right? What could possibly make it so special? Stick around because today, we're diving deep into why this little 1984 Lincoln cent with no mint mark is blowing collectors' minds. how you can identify one, and what to do if you're lucky enough to find one hiding in your junk drawer. Oh, and somewhere along the way, I'll tell you how I almost threw away a penny worth a small fortune while looking for a paperclip. True story. So grab your coffee, settle in, and let's crack open the piggy bank of knowledge. Because this is one video you don't want to miss, especially if you've got a jar of old coins sitting in your garage. Let's set the scene. It's 1984. Ronald Reagan's president. Prince is blasting on the radio. And the US Mint is cranking out Lincoln pennies by the billions, but hidden among those everyday coins is a little copper hero that's managed to stand the test of time and value. Now, this 1984 penny doesn't have a mint mark, meaning it was struck in Philadelphia. At first glance, it looks totally normal, just good ol' Abe Lincoln chillin' on the front, the Lincoln Memorial on the back, and the year 1984 shining like a cheap disco ball. Some of these 1984 pennies have what's called a double die error, particularly on Lincoln's ear. Yep, his ear is doubled. It's like Abe was listening so hard in 1984, he grew a second lobe. Collectors call it the 1984 double die obverse, DDO. If you find this coin in mint condition, no scratches, minimal wear, it could be worth hundreds of thousands, even $1.4 million to the right buyer. Let's talk about how this error happened, because it's kind of fascinating. So, in the coin minting world, they use something called a hub to press the design into a die, which then stamps the coins. Sometimes, during this process, the hub and die misalign just enough to create a doubling effect. In the 1984 pennies case, it happened right on Lincoln's earlobe. That's right, the most expensive penny error in recent history is basically an earlobe blooper. Talk about turning a flaw into fortune. Collectors love this kind of thing. Why? Because it's not something someone tampered with. It's a genuine US Mint mistake, a snapshot of history gone slightly sideways. Now, not every 1984 penny is worth millions. You need the error. And you need it in great condition. No mint mark under the date. That's crucial. If there's a D or an S, that's a different story. You want it clean. Look at Lincoln's ear. Use a magnifying glass if you have to. If the earlobe looks like it's been doubled, kind of like it's got a shadow or a weird bump, that's the one. Examine the condition. Coins in top shape are called MS or mint state. If your penny looks like it just got spit out of the machine yesterday, you're in luck. Consider sending it to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. They'll certify it and give it a grade, which increases its value. If you're squinting at Lincoln's ear and you think maybe it's doubled, check again. Because that teeny tiny detail could mean the difference between face value and a mansion in Florida. And now, let me tell you a little story that still haunts me. A few years back, I was going through a junk drawer in my dad's old desk. You know, the kind of random screws, expired coupons, a measuring tape that doesn't measure anymore, and, you guessed it, loose change. I grabbed a handful of pennies, planning to toss them in the coin jar of eternal procrastination. But one of them looked weird. The ear on Lincoln looked off. Like he had an extra earlobe or something, but I laughed it off. Thought it was just a smudge or my aging eyes. I literally said out loud, "What am I gonna do, retire off this penny?" Well, a week later, I stumbled across an article about the 1984 double die Lincoln cent. I grabbed that penny again, only to realize I had already spent it. Check your coins before you dump them in the soda machine. So let's say you strike gold. You're digging through your change jar, your grandpa's coin collection, or the dusty shoebox under your bed, and you find a 1984 penny with a doubled earlobe and no mint mark. Do not clean it. That'll reduce its value faster than you can say oops. Put it in a soft holder or protective sleeve. Keep it safe, take clear photos and do some research online, or better yet, send it to a professional grading service. PCGS or NGC will give it an official grade and put it in a tamper-proof case. Then, you can list it on auction sites like Heritage Auctions or contact a trusted coin dealer for evaluation. Just because it's worth up to $1.4 million doesn't mean you'll get that tomorrow. But the demand is real, and the collectors are out there. So, there you have it. A simple 1984 penny that most people wouldn't even bother to pick up off the ground could be worth $1.40 million. There are likely still dozens, maybe hundreds, of these coins floating around in jars, drawers, glove compartments, and dusty corners of America, just waiting to be found. Go dig through your coin stash. Call your grandma. Check that piggy bank you've been ignoring since 1993. And if you do find something, hey, Let us know in the comments, we'd love to hear your story. And if you found this video helpful, funny, or even slightly life-changing, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, give us a like, and tap that notification bell so you never miss a tip on how to turn pocket change into a pile of cash. We're dropping videos every week with insider strategies, coin secrets, and real stories that could put you on the path to financial freedom, one penny at a time. Thanks for watching, and remember, the next time you find a penny, don't ignore it. Inspect it. You never know, it might just be worth $1 million. We turn pocket change into serious paydays. Now, before you toss that old penny in the tip jar or shove it into the couch cushions, let me ask you this. What if that little copper coin was worth more than your house? What if it could score you a cool $1.5 million? Yeah, you heard me right. $1.5 million. For a penny. Not a gold doubloon, not a rare ancient coin, a regular old Lincoln Memorial penny from 2006 with no mint mark. Today, we're going to uncover exactly why this particular penny is so valuable, how to tell if you have one, and how you can cash in on it if you do. I'm going to share a personal story about how I almost threw away a small fortune, so stick around to hear how I nearly had a meltdown over a tiny brown coin. So grab a cup of coffee, maybe a magnifying glass, and get comfy because by the end of this video you'll never look at your spare change the same way again. Alright, so let's start with a little backstory. The 2006 Lincoln Memorial penny was produced by the US Mint in huge quantities. We're talking billions with a B. So you might be thinking, how could any of them be worth more than $1, let alone $1.5 million? Great question. The answer lies in rarity and error. This particular penny, the no mint mark variety, was struck in a way that makes it incredibly scarce. Most pennies have a mint mark, little letters like D for Denver or S for San Francisco. But the no mint mark 2006s are special because they were mistakenly struck on planchets intended for collector proofs or experimental blanks. That's a fancy way of saying the mint goofed up big time. And when the mint screws up, collectors start drooling. These errors are sometimes called struck through or mule coins, depending on the details. In this case, the no mint mark and the unusual finish made it stand out. Combine that with the fact only a tiny handful have been authenticated and graded in mint state, and boom, you've got yourself $1 million baby. Let's break this down even further because I know it sounds a little bonkers. Here are the main factors that drive up the value. We're talking fewer than 10 known examples verified by major grading services like PCGS and NGC. These coins weren't supposed to be struck this way, so they have a unique look and sometimes a different weight. If you have one of these and it's in uncirculated or near perfect condition, you're basically sitting on a winning lottery ticket. The combination of the no mint mark, experimental striking, and Lincoln cent popularity makes this a dream find for collectors. To put this in perspective, the same coin in heavily circulated shape might fetch a few hundred or a couple $1,000s. But in pristine mint state, that's where the $1.5 million number comes in. Imagine finding one in your change jar right now. You'd have to resist the urge to run around the house screaming, which, trust me, is harder than it sounds. Let me tell you about the time I almost chucked a fortune into a Coinstar machine. A couple years ago, I was cleaning out a drawer stuffed with loose change. You know the one with old paper clips, expired coupons, maybe a gum wrapper or two. I had this big mason jar of pennies. I thought, let's just cash these in and buy a pizza. So I started dumping them into a bag. But for some reason, I stopped and thought, wait, maybe I should take a quick look. And there it was. A 2006 penny with no mint mark, shiny as could be. My heart started pounding. I grabbed my magnifier and checked the weight. It felt just a little off. I spent the next 3 hours comparing it to every photo I could find online. I was convinced I had hit the jackpot. I even called my buddy who's a coin dealer. He came over, looked at it under his scope, and said, "Sorry, man, this is a regular zinc penny." You've never seen such a combination of disappointment and relief. But you better believe I've checked every penny I've come across ever since. Look just under the date on the obverse, that's the front, for us non-numismatists. If there's absolutely no mint mark, you might have something special. The valuable ones often have a unique satin or mirror-like proof finish. A normal 2006 penny weighs 2.5 grams. Some of these rare examples weigh more due to the experimental planchet. High strike definition is another clue. Before you start planning your retirement, send the coin to a reputable grading service. If your penny checks all these boxes, you could be sitting on that $1.5 million windfall. Big names like Heritage Auctions or Stacksbowers regularly handle coins of this caliber. Some collectors will pay a premium to buy directly. Make sure they're members of the Professional Numismatists Guild, but remember, don't ever sell a coin like this on impulse. Take your time, get multiple opinions, and protect yourself from scammers. If someone offers you a couple $100 in a parking lot, turn around and walk away. Lincoln was the first real person on a U.S. coin. In 1943, pennies were made of steel due to copper shortages in World War II. Some collectors have full sets of Lincoln cents dating back to 1909. That's more dedication than most of us put into our gym memberships. The memorial reverse design ran from 1959 to 2008 before changing to the Union Shield in 2010. Makes you appreciate just how much history is hiding in your change jar. You'll look through thousands of pennies before finding anything special. The more you learn, the more you'll spot. Most people give up. You're not most people. Just remember, it's not about instant gratification. It's about the thrill of the hunt. And hey, even if you don't find $1 million penny right away, you'll develop an appreciation for American history and maybe make a few bucks along the way. The 2006 no-mint Mark Lincoln Memorial Penny that could be worth $1.5 million. The next time you get change from the gas station or find a penny on the sidewalk, don't just shrug and toss it aside. Take a closer look. You might be holding a little slice of history, or an unexpected windfall. Before you go, let me ask you one thing. If you learned something new today or just enjoyed hanging out with me, do yourself a favor, hit that subscribe button. This channel is all about coins that can change your life and strategies to make money from collecting. Plus, I promise to keep the dad jokes and personal horror stories coming. Smash the like button, share this video with a fellow treasure hunter, and drop a comment below telling me about the coolest coin you've ever found. Who knows? Your story might be the inspiration for our next video. Thanks for watching, and remember, the next time someone says, "It's just a penny," you can smile and think, "Yeah, but it might be $1 million penny."